The film tells the story of Okko, a young girl who lost her parents in an accident. She went to live with her grandmother, who runs a traditional Japanese inn. It is said that the inn was built on top of an ancient spring that has healing waters. While living there, she discovers that there are spirits who live there that only she can see and help her navigate her new environment. Before we go, this video contains spoilers. So please take this warning for those that haven't watched this movie yet. Without further ado, here's the recap of Okko's Inn. The film starts with a family on the way home after having a holiday at a traditional Japanese hot spring. On the road, a truck from a different direction suddenly went off track and hit the family's car. In the accident, only their daughter named Okko survived the accident. It seemed that Okko was saved by a spirit that came out of nowhere. After losing both her parents, Okko decided to go and live with her grandmother, who owns a traditional Japanese inn in a village. Upon arriving at the inn, she was first welcomed by a spider and lizard, which made her scared. Okko was surprised again by a gecko at her window in her room. She heard a voice laughing at her. Okko saw a transparent boy floating while picking his nose and looking at her. The boy was surprised that Okko could see him. He introduced himself as Yuribo. He is a ghost that lived there for a long time. Yuribo then teased Okko by flying past her. Okko then screamed hysterically after seeing the gecko at her window again. Her grandmother came to see her. Okko asked her about Yuribo, but her grandmother could not see him. Apparently, Okko's the only one who can see Yuribo. Yuribo guessed that it might be because Okko had a near-death experience. And that gave her the ability to see ghosts. Okko was then introduced to the other employee at the inn by her grandmother. There, Yuribo urged Okko to say that she is interested in taking over the inn and becoming the junior innkeeper because Yuribo can't bear to see Okko's grandmother working so hard every day. Okko's grandmother and her two employees were so delighted to hear that. They said that they would prepare everything to help Okko. The next morning, Okko found a box containing a bell in her room, which made her curious. She went to see her grandmother and asked about it. Upon seeing her grandmother with some guests, she is taught to always be polite and friendly towards the guests by her grandmother. She then asked her grandmother about the bell. She said that it belonged to her grandfather. There, her grandmother found her childhood album. As a kid, her grandmother was very tomboyish and had a friend named Yuribo that played with her a lot. One day, her grandmother almost fell from a tree at her house. But Yuribo managed to save her. Apparently, Okko's grandmother had to move out of their house, which made Yuribo lonely. When he felt lonely, he would go to the roof and sit there. But one day, Yuribo fell from the roof and lost his life. Okko was then taught how to wear a kimono because she would become the junior innkeeper. And she must also get used to bugs as she will deal with them a lot at the inn. Even though the job is hard, Okko is still motivated, especially after being given pudding by her grandmother. But the pudding she just got suddenly disappeared out of nowhere. Okko then goes to school in the village. Okko is already involved with a girl named Matsuki on her first day at school. Matsuki is the child of the owner of the biggest and most luxurious inn in the village. She sarcastically compared her luxurious inn to Okko's small and simple inn. Hearing that, Yuribo got upset and drew something on Matsuki's face. Seeing her face, the entire class laughed at her, especially after Okko innocently commented on her flashy pink dress. Because Okko made Matsuki upset, suddenly a girl ghost came and also drew something on Okko's face. The ghost then quickly disappeared. Okko and Yuribo then tried to look for that ghost. But on the road, they met two people looking for a room to live because the hotels were fully booked. Okko then politely offered them to stay at her grandmother's inn. At the inn, Okko did her job as a junior innkeeper well. But her kindness was not well received by Akane, one of the guests with a fever. Akane's rude attitude is since he just lost his mother. Okko told him that she had also just lost both of her parents. But Okko did not linger in sorrow and kept working hard. The two of them got into an argument. After that event, Okko and her grandmother apologized to Akane. But he is still annoying and asks for food that the inn does not have. Because Okko could not find that food, she decided to make the pudding she liked. She believed that eating pudding could get rid of sadness. The next day Akane and his father checked out of the inn, and Akane seemed to look better than before. Okko, who overslept, was teased by the ghost who drew on her face from before. But that did not make her angry because she saw that Akane was now better and was very thankful to Okko for that pudding. Her grandmother then tasked Okko to deliver something. On the way, she met Matsuki, who was decorating her inn while still wearing her flashy pink clothes. There, Okko was teased again by the girl ghost from before. Yuribo then tried to chase her, but to no avail. Apparently, the ghost lives at Okko's inn, and she was Matsuki's older sister who died in childhood named Mio. She really loves living at Okko's grandmother's inn. They also met a demon named Suzuki, who loves eating the food from the kitchen. He was also the one who ate Okko's pudding from before. Suzuki showed up because Okko had previously opened the box that contained the bell. But Suzuki is also the one who brought guests to her grandmother's inn. Seeing two ghosts and one demon, Okko got the idea to help them out at the inn to make them useful. Okko's next task was to check on a guest named Glory, who hadn't touched her food for days. When Okko got to her room, she saw lots of smoke, and Glory seemed like a fortune teller trying to see something in her crystal. This made Okko very surprised. Okko returned to Glory's room the next day to deliver a light meal and drink. The enthusiastic Okko tried to entertain her guest and helped her wear a kimono. The two of them then got closer because Glory liked Okko's hardworking attitude. Glory then took Okko to the mall to buy clothes and other stuff. On the road, Okko kept being reminded of her family's accident. She has heavy trauma after seeing the road. Seeing Okko so scared, Glory then pulled over to the side of the road. Luckily, Yuribo and Mio are also there to calm her down. Because she made Glory worried, Okko then told her about the accident. But Okko said that she felt her parents were still alive while smiling at Yuribo and Mio. After things calmed down, Okko and Glory continued their trip to the mall. Glory bought all the clothes and shoes that she liked. She also bought lots of modern clothes for Okko. On the way home, Glory tells Okko that her boyfriend just dumped her because she is a fortune teller. Additionally, when Glory looked at their relationship, she found no match between them. Luckily, she went to the inn and met Okko, who comforted her. Time went by, and a magazine article about Okko's inn was published. Akane's father published it. Their inn got a good review, and the most prominent thing that the magazine said was about the service that Okko gave. This made their inn full of customers. The next day, Okko trained to dance a Shinto dance with Matsuki because the two of them were selected to dance. The dance is about the history of their home. Okko was distracted because she hadn't seen Yuribo and Mio lately. After the dancing rehearsal, she was so glad to see Yuribo again. But Yuribo disappeared again shortly. Okko also saw Mio on the way, but she also disappeared shortly. There, she met a boy named Shota who was about to stay at her inn with his family. While staying there, they did not enjoy the food served at the inn as it tasted bland to them. It was because they prioritized the health of the customers. Okko was reminded that Matsuki once wrote about balanced but healthy foods. Okko immediately rushed to Matsuki's inn even though it was already night and fell on the road while running. Even though Okko was initially hesitant to meet Matsuki, she decided to go so that her guest won't be disappointed. Upon arriving there, Okko told Matsuki about her problem. Matsuki then told Okko some tips to make healthy food without tasting bland. Before going home, Matsuki gave Okko some books and special meat from Matsuki's inn. Using Matsuki's knowledge, they made the food to serve Shota's family. They did not expect that the food could still taste good while still maintaining the taste. After the meal, Shota's father said he was really glad he could relax with his family after he had been in the hospital for quite a while. Shota's father saw two cars crash in front of him, and to avoid them, he went off track and hit another car coming from the opposite direction. He said that the crash involved a whole family in the accident, and only their daughter survived unharmed. Apparently, the car was Okko's family car. Hearing that, Okko hallucinated seeing her parents telling her to keep living strong. But she couldn't hold her tears and ran out of the room. Yuribo and Mio tried to comfort her, but to no avail. Okko then met Glory outside and told her the whole situation. Glory then comforted her by saying that she was not alone. Shota's father felt ashamed and tried to move to Matsuki's inn after knowing that Okko was the daughter of the family he crashed into. But Okko showed up begging them to stay and that she had already forgiven Shota's father. The film ends with Okko and Matsuki dancing the Shinto dance very beautifully while being accompanied by Yuribo and Mio, who then disappeared to reincarnate. So that concludes the recap of Okko's inn. What do you guys think? The film shows us the great mentality of Okko. Instead of drowning in sadness, she managed to move on with her life and even helped others with their problems. Okko also amazes us by showing forgiveness to Shota's father even though it is tough for her. There also aren't many complexities in Okko's inn, and it certainly doesn't need them. Its serious themes make for an unusual offering that's both culturally fascinating and emotionally affecting for all sorts of viewers. Please tell us what you think through the comment section. If you like this content, please leave us a like and share them with your friends. Thank you for watching. Until we see you again.